typically, this meeting, we will do business training or mindset training, and then, of course, we have our member presentation, right? And so today's is going to be more along the mindset training line. I've been reading a book that was written way back in the 20s. This book was written by Neville Goddard. Who's heard of Neville Goddard? Anybody heard of Neville Goddard? He's of course you have. He is one of those people way back in the early 1900s that was writing about mindset and how our minds work long before many of the others that came along later and started writing about it. But Neville Goddard, somebody named I believe it was Charles Troward, those guys, they were the front runners for all the motivational speakers and writers and everything that you hear right now. They're the front runners for all of that. Now, I gave you a handout. It is this sheet right here. So if you pull that sheet out, this is something that over the years in my martial arts business I started teaching to my martial arts students. We taught life skills to the students. And one of our life skills cycles, we used attitude as the life skill. And I created something just from all the readings and studying I had been doing. And as I put all of this together, I then started discovering it in different ways and in other places as well. But your beliefs control your thoughts. And your thoughts create your feelings. Your feelings influence your actions, and your actions will dictate your results. And regardless of what the result is that you get, be grateful, because you got a result that you can now build off of, right? If I take this, and we've talked about some of this before in here, we've talked about the beliefs and the thoughts part, so I'm going to jump to the feeling part. Because if you notice on my little chart there's a heart over the feeling, meaning that that's really the center, that's the key. Because if you think about how you feel every day, it will dictate, it will really influence what is it that I'm willing to go out and do. How hard is it am I willing to go work? What actions am I willing to go take to build my business today? What actions am I willing to take to build this relationship that I'm in? What actions am I willing to take to get to wherever it is that I want to get to in life, right? And it comes down to, how am I feeling? How am I feeling about where I am right now in life? How am I feeling about my environment, all that's around me? This book was, and I gave you a picture of the book on the back, along with a link that will actually take you to the digital version. Now, I tend to listen to many more books than I read. I use my Audible account is like my best friend. I love Audible because I can just go walk the dog, I can go work out, do whatever, and I'm listening to a book the whole time. In fact, if you ever run across me and you see me with headphones on, I'm probably listening to a book. Right? Very rarely is it music, although every now and then I deviate from the book and say, you just need to just let go and listen to some music, right? However, there's a link, so you can read it, or you can go to Audible, or you can Google it and download it. But there are some key things that he says. I'm going to read a couple of these phrases, and then I'm going to, he says the world and all within it is man's conditioned consciousness objectified. Consciousness is the cause as well as the substance of the entire world. So if you think about what he's saying right there is, and you've probably heard this somewhere before, your world you've created. And sometimes it's a little bit tough to believe or to even wrap your head around, because you say, but wait a minute, I didn't create these buildings. I didn't create, all of these cars. I didn't create all of those. Somebody did, And it started at the consciousness level of somebody creating it. But what happens to you in your world and what happens, with you in this world, you've created. And you've created it through your thoughts and your feelings. Right? So when we look back at those thoughts and we start to think about, how did I feel when I woke up this morning? Did I wake up excited about this day? Did I wake up feeling like, man, I'm going to go tackle the world today. I've got this thing that I'm going to go get done today. I've got these things. Or did you wake up going, oh, it's morning. It's Monday. I got to get up and I have to go somewhere and do something that I don't want to do, right? Right? I mean, think about, there's lots of people in your world that that's how they wake up. You say, how you doing? It's Monday. What's that got to do with anything? It's just another day. Right? It's all about how we perceive it, and then how are we being as we move through it. Right? So at any rate, he says here, the conscious impresses the subconscious, while the subconscious expresses all that is impressed upon it. Ron and I were just talking about this. One of our favorite books is Joseph Murphy's The Power of the Subconscious Mind, which I also put that one on there because it's an excellent book, but it's really long. It's an excellent book. It's on my Audible account, and every so often I go listen to it again as well. It's really long. He has lots of examples. Hang on one second there. He has lots of examples in there that are amazing examples that you will probably love. But what I like about this Goddard book is he says in the beginning, he doesn't give you examples because he wants you to take the concept and apply it, and then you be the judge just from you applying it, right? Because it's really easy to read a book like any of those, like Subconscious Mind or whatever, and say, yeah, but, there's always that but, right? Well, take the concept and apply it and see, does it make a difference? I've listened to that book probably, here's the commitment I made. I said, I'm going to listen to it once in the morning and once in the evening every day for the next 90 days. And that was about a month ago that I started. And I'm still doing that. And every single time I listen to it, I get something new out of it each time. I get something that I didn't catch the first time, and I go, oh, well, that makes sense. How come I hadn't heard that? Well, I didn't hear it because when you're reading something, listening to something, whatever, you will get a concept, and then your brain goes to work on that. And you miss everything else that just came right after it, right? So every time you read a book, you've seen it. You go to a movie, you watch a movie. The third time you watch the movie, you said, how come I never saw that? I've seen this movie 3 times. How did I never see that scene before? Your brain was off processing, right? So at any rate, and this is one of those big aha moments for me, was this next statement. It says, never accomplish that which you want, you accomplish that which you are. Think about that for a second. What you feel you are always dominates what you would like to be. So think about that for a second. What you feel like you are always dominates what you would like to be. Because you can say, and this is that whole thing in life of people saying, well, I want to do this, or I want to do. Okay, but you want to do it, or are you doing it? You want to do it, or are you being it? Are you being that person you want to be, or are you still thinking about it? Right? So what we are is what we get. So if we go through life, and if you say, I am a health coach, a certified, what is it? What is your title? What do you call it? A certified health coach, right? I am a certified health coach is very different than I will be a certified health coach. I want to be a certified health coach. When you say I will be or I want to be, you're admitting that you're not, right? If you are, then you say I am a certified health coach. I am a speaker. I am an entrepreneur. I am a business person. I am a success at whatever it is that I want, right? And we have to be it, feel it, and that's the key right there, is the feeling part of it. Because we can say, yeah, I'm this, but if inside that little voice says, no, you're not. You just want to be. No, you're not. You're just pretending. You get that little voice, right? It's like that little Jiminy Cricket thing. You got to go get rid of it, right? Because that little voice is that thing that will hold us back, and that little voice sometimes is that subconscious, right? So I'm running out of time. How do we then change that subconscious? Because if you're like me, which most of you aren't, except for Ron, he's further along, and you're 62 years old, no, I don't know. I don't even know how old Ron is. I'm just harassing Ron.
I like that number.
Then you've got 62 years of stuff that you've been dealing with, right? You've got that stuff, that baggage that's hanging around in there, and you say, man, how do I get rid of that, right? So we have to work on how do we reprogram that subconscious mind. Now, he talks about it in here, and there's a couple of things that he says to do. Number one, just before you go to sleep, that's when you think about what it is that you are. Not that you want to be. What is it that you are? You think it, you feel that you are. Now, the other book that I put on here is Genevieve Beren, Your Invisible Power. That is all about visualization. So I'm not even going to get into that at the moment, other than to say that I think it's incredibly powerful that you add the visualization and you see yourself being where it is you want to be, what it is you want to be, who it is that you want to be. You see yourself being it and you feel it. When you see it and you feel it, you create magnificent power that can change everything. It can redirect your life. It'll change your life. It'll send you in a brand new direction. No matter where it is that you are, and I say this because I know this, because I've felt this, I've done this, where I've had the successes using this, and I've also sabotaged myself and created my own failure using this. See, the subconscious mind doesn't care whether this thing that you want to be is true or false. It makes no judgments on it. It accepts whatever it is that you say that it is, whatever it is that you put in there and you believe it, you feel it, it believes that that's what it is. And that's what your subconscious mind goes to create, right? So if we want to go in a certain direction, we have to make sure that that's what we put in our subconscious mind. Right? And sometimes it's sneaky, it's tricky that you think, wow, this person did this to me, or this thing happened, and this thing is happening to me, and I have no control over it. And we can go down that negative path. But we have to really, really do our best to catch ourselves to make sure that we reverse that. And we start to then, so I started talking, see, I get going, and it's like ramble on, I guess, right? So just before you go to sleep, that's when you then take that time to visualize who and where and what it is that you want to be, and to feel it and see yourself being in it. The next best time is when you wake up in the morning, right? Just as you're waking up, your mind is in that theta state and you're in that half dream, half consciousness state. That's the time to then feel it and see and visualize what it is that you want, where you want to be at that. And then you can use prayer and you use meditation. Those are times, that's how you get in and start to change the subconscious mind. And then it takes consistency. It takes doing it every single day. And that's where I have a hard time at times, because all of a sudden life gets busy. And you go, man, I got to get up and go do this thing. Well, maybe get up earlier, do whatever it is, right? That I've been getting up at 4:30 at times, 4 or 4:30 in the morning, and I literally force myself to lay down on the floor, and I'll put on my headphones with some really relaxing music, and then just start to try and visualize. And if you take those thoughts, when you're going to sleep and you then play what it is that you want through your mind, and you are being who it is and what it is you want to be, your subconscious mind then starts to go to work on it, and it starts to create the ways for it to accomplish whatever it is that you want. If you don't write it down, for me, if I don't write it down, I lose it. Who else has had that happen to them? Anybody else had that happen? Lots of people have had that happen, right? That's it. You can do it intentionally. Sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I wake up and I go, you didn't give me an answer. Where's the answer? That's right. One job. Just give me an answer. I love that. Thank you for bringing that in, because I neglected to talk about that. But that is so what she said with that, of the little things, right? Of just, even it's seeing a pretty flower, even it's somebody opened a door for me, so just something very small. That's right. It brings about new changes, take a new direction that you probably wouldn't have taken otherwise, right? All right, so let's wrap up really fast here then. Visualize, visualize being, doing, having with feeling, with emotion, right? And I used to teach this to my martial arts students. I used to say, you could do the sequence of martial arts moves, and technically they're okay, right? But guess what? If you do it with emotion, it's totally different. Okay? All of a sudden, you go, wait a minute. That's kind of cool, right? Everybody that just kind of watched that first one was like, yeah, okay, that was cool. And then you went, oh, crap. Right? So, with emotion. Do it with feeling, with emotion. That's what makes all the difference. And then, here's the last thing, is take inspired action. When you get that inspiration, when you get that night voice, yeah, you take that inspired action, right? And that's what moves us forward.